Okay, so how are white Christians supposed to shake off this we were the ones that held slaves and used to be super racist?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you, like, what do you think it needs to be the process of rebranding the white Christian from slave owning, whip cracking,
Right.
Bible reading guy to nice, not racist person?
Okay.
Like, how are you supposed to switch that around?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we had made really good strides in that for a long time. And a long time being, I guess, pretty relative. Because
actual strides or fake strides?
No, like actual strides.
Okay.
Yeah, like where I feel like the church was beginning to be, recognized as a place that didn't have just a bunch of racists in it. That it actually was, and even if you had a predominantly white church or an all white church, it didn't mean you were necessarily just by default racist because of that.
Okay.
So, obviously not all Christians were racist, but I think we as white Christians that were born and raised here in the South obviously have a perspective of always kind of making that connection between whites and being slave owners,
right.
Like, or our ancestors being that. And so,
this brand is basically just as bad as the Catholics and kids thing.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's going to take a really long time for them to get rid of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The priests.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, no, but I feel like we had made strides and feel like, because from slavery to Jim Crow to the civil rights movement, and there had been so much movement forward. And I'm not saying that all of it was perfect by any means.
Right.
I mean, but I feel like there had been a lot of strides made within because we're talking about specifically within Christians. I think there have been a lot of strides made within Christians. Because I do think we have to, like, one thing we do need to do, like, I think this is what we became better at, was acknowledging the past and saying that was not okay. Like, acknowledging the issues with even, and this, oh Lord, this can still rile some people up, but even the issues with, like, the Confederate flag and why that was problematic for people. Like, I think, in other words, I think that white Christians were doing a better job of acknowledging the atrocities of the past, asking for forgiveness for it, being willing to have conversations about it.
Wait, what are you saying about the flag?
Because what I'm saying about the flag, well, I'm saying that Confederate flag specifically because the Confederate flag cannot, if it's viewed and seen as a flag of racism, which it is,
okay,
by a lot of African Americans,
okay,
and understandably so, okay,
right,
then I, as a Southerner, I have to realize that flag, which can be seen as racist, isn't worth any kind of allegiance from me. Is it worth me, holding on to or flying at our property or any of those kind of things? And because I have to put the kingdom of God above any kind of flag, or I have to put the kingdom of God, if this is bothering individuals, then I'm not going to sit here and try to defend the darn thing.
There's a lot of those around.
Yeah, there are. I mean, again, we're in the South.
Yeah.
So there are. But all I'm saying is that I feel like as a church, we were doing a better job of acknowledging some of these things that are wrong, that are not okay. And
Did you just make a lot of people mad that you know?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
And so I think we have to own these things, right? Because for me, it's always about what's kingdom of God, right? That has to be the first perspective. I'm a citizen of heaven before I'm a citizen of this country, before I'm a citizen of this state. And so I've got to look at things through the lens of what is the most kingdom of God thing I can do. Right? Okay. So like, for example, when Paul is writing to the Romans and he talks about, hey, if this thing bothers someone in their conscience, don't do it. Right? When he's saying, hey, he's talking about Jews and Gentiles and their relationship.
Okay.
And he's saying, hey, if you eating that is going to bother a brother of yours, don't eat it. Because remember, Gentiles and Jews had different diets of what they would normally eat. And especially with the dietary restrictions and laws for the Jews.
Flags.
Right. Well, all I'm saying is it kind of, for me, carries the same concept.
Okay.
Because it's like, if that bothers someone in their conscience, what does it matter to me? I need to move on beyond that. Like, okay. I can't put that above a brother or sister of mine. It makes no sense.
So no more Confederate flags. No one's allowed to have one ever again.
People can be their own judge on that. That's up to them. For me and my house, we're going to say no.
Okay.
Okay. And so I think that is...
I don't have any.
Okay. There you go.
I don't think.
Okay. You probably know. All right.
I don't.
And so...
I don't have any flags of anything.
I think that, you know, there's just been so things have gone, we've just made so much progress, because even in like the integration of schools, for example, like
that was a mess.
It was, but so we integrated schools, and in the South, one of the things that started happening was the creating of private schools that were really all white schools. Mm-hmm. And it was to get away from the integration. Right. But what's amazing is a lot of those schools that were started as schools that were really, you know, for purpose of segregation, you know, and keeping it, actually, most of those Christian schools are all integrated now, you know? And so, like, again, I think they probably all are. Yeah, probably so. Because it's a law. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and because, yeah, anyway, I won't get all of it. But, and so I just think the church as a whole has come a long ways. Okay. And I feel like. But all this CRT stuff is not helping. No, it's not. Okay. It's not helping, because what it's doing, because here's the issue with it. CRT says there's no forgiveness. Like, that's the core issue for CRT. Right. For me, you can't be forgiven. There's no forgiveness to be had. All I can ever do is, like in CRT language, all I can ever do is be an oppressor, a white oppressor who's racist, that's living in a white, you know, supremacy privileged country. White, baba dee baba. And so that's all that I can be. So therefore, and the only movement I can make is, I can say I'm sorry, but again, forgiveness is not extended because it's not part of CRT. So all I can ever do is to say, I'm sorry. What can I do to, you know, be an ally for your cause? Against other people like me. Right. To do the same thing. Right. And I just feel like, there's no gospel message in CRT that allows for forgiveness, allows for all things being put on the same, you know, playing ground. Listen, we're all sinners. We've all done things in our past. So what as an individual can I do? Because I personally, Joseph Tillman, yes, I can't erase the past. Right. Right. And I cannot on behalf of all white people say I'm sorry. Right, because you're only one white person. Only one white person. I can say I am sorry that those things happened. I am sorry for things that other white people did and things that even my own family members did. Right? So I can... Wait, what? I can say all of that. Yeah. I mean, man, I'm from the South, dude. So, I mean, call it for what it is. Ruh-roh. Yeah. And so... Story time. So, is there, and so I'm not going to sit here and say, no, there wasn't any racism in my family in the past. Sure, there was. So I can say that, and I can not excuse their behaviors. I cannot, and I'm not going to justify behaviors. I'm going to say, but for me, and hopefully for my kids going forward, for my family, we want to be as individuals that are not racist, right? We want to be as individuals that love Jesus and love others and see the image of God in everyone, regardless of the color of their skin. And so I feel like, again, I just feel like the church has made good strides, needs to continue to make good strides, needs to continue to have good conversations without feeling like they have to be part of a woke CRT progressive agenda to really be Christian and to really help solve the issue of racism.